Okay, it is 6 p.m. on Monday, December 21st, 2015. I call the Potter County Commissioners Court to order. This is a public meeting only. There will be no action taken by the court. We have one member absent. No, you talked to him? Okay. So we are talking today about the vote centers, and this is to provide public information on the vote centers in Potter County prior to the county applying for successful status with the state of Texas. So if you are here to comment, I ask you to come to the podium, state your name and your address, and you have 2 minutes. Is there anyone who wants to say anything at all? Okay. Okay. So,
I hate that the camera's here because I was supposed to be at work today. Oh. I had surgery Friday, so. I'm going to do two things. My name is Tanya Denton, and I'm the Potter County Republican Chairman. And the first thing I want to do is read an email from one of my precinct chairmen who is not able to be here, so on his behalf, if I go a little bit over two, I would ask that I could have maybe 2 of his minutes too. This is from Ray Humphrey, who is precinct chairman and election judge for precinct 323. During early voting, I worked as judge at the donut stop at I-40 in Georgia. I received several positive comments from voters expressing their utter disbelief as to how convenient it was to vote there. The speed at which they could get in and out of that location, some couldn't believe there was 2 different entrances they could use. Most were going to or from work and just passing by when they saw the flags for voting there. On election day, I worked as judge at Chaparral Hills Church and received nothing but positive comments about the location and ease of voting there as compared to the River Road School. There was more room, better parking, and easier access to the voting area. Lighting was better and the location was better suited for the majority of voters in the area. Sincerely, Ray Humphrey. And now my comments. When we first were approached to do this several years ago, I was not necessarily in favor of it because I had worked many elections where it was really important for me to know that we had neighborhood polling places. And neighborhoods were important, and I think we're getting away from neighborhoods anymore because of our speed and busyness of the world that it is today. But you know, now 2.5 years later, after we worked through all of the issues that we had to work through as a committee, and I did serve on that committee, we have come to put together a great plan to implement vote centers that really helps the citizens of Potter County vote conveniently, and not miss a vote on election day because they couldn't get to their polling place. My son's a perfect example. He lives in Dumas, and if he had had to vote at Allen Park where his polling place is, he wouldn't have been able to vote that day. He was able to drive by at the Lighthouse Church on the loop on his way to Dumas, get in, vote quickly, and get to work that day, and he had nothing but praise to say about the workers and the way the plan was implemented. There were many, many obstacles that the committee faced, but we worked through them all with the smart people who work at Potter County, with the smart people who were on the committee, and with all the smart public that we had involved in this process. And I think it's a very good one, and I appreciate your time.
I have to comment on your voting place, Ms. Humphreys, at the donut stop.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I voted. Of course, that might be the retired police officer in me too. But it was a very convenient place.
It was busy.
Yeah. Matter of fact, that was the second busiest polling place that we had. Anyway, thank you for your comment.
thank you, Tom.
And for your willingness to serve on the committee. Thanks.
Good evening, Court. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you today. My name is Bill Summerford. I live at 6103 Blue Sage Circle in Amarillo. And I want to say that I think, first off, that the way these sites were selected had a lot to do with the success of these voting centers. They were well picked. And I'm sure that Malin can testify that it took a lot of grassroots effort on her part, and that was the first part. Secondly, convenience. Many people, many of the voters said they liked the places because it was on the way home, it was on the way to work. You know, they were out, saw the sign, dropped in, easy to park, easy to get in, get out, do their thing. And so that's another win. And that's the big, because what we want people to do is be able to vote. And we want them to be able to vote without frustration. And having worked several elections, some people put it off to the last minute to vote. And sometimes they're in the wrong place. And sometimes they get frustrated. We don't have that with vote centers. So they go away. And the county always knows who's voted, who hadn't voted. It's all online, and that's neat. From a county perspective, think of it this way: it saves the county money. It saves from voting machines in the future, fewer workers, and from a citizen standpoint, it saves taxes whenever voting machines have to be replaced. So if you kind of add it all up, I see it as a win-win-win, and I think that's good for the citizens, the voters, and the county. Thanks for the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you, Ms. Sanford.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
comments.
Judge, one thing I'll add, as he mentioned, the convenience, kudos to Malin and the committee who talked about traffic counts. I remember that being a part of the discussion of where are the traffic patterns and what makes sense. So kudos to everybody for thinking through bringing that in for the convenience factor.
Well, then, would you mind coming up and giving us the negative comments on the vote centers?
Yeah, I would mind that greatly.
Because I know there were very, very few.
Yes, okay. Yes, there were very, very few. I think we did have about 10% who were frustrated because they did not know where to go initially, which tells us that we're not through with communications. We have to continue to educate the public as to where to go. Other than that, you know, we had a few people who would rather not vote in a church or rather not vote in a business, and that's the beauty of vote centers.
Right.
You can pick the place that you feel comfortable, and that's what we want, is for our voters to feel comfortable.
I felt very comfortable at the donut stop.
Is there anybody else?
My name is Leland Calloway, and I live out in Eagle Tree. And I was on the committee as well to help put this together. Linda did an excellent job of doing the background and researching stuff and opening the dialogue and discussing it all. Used to be, we'd have to go from Eagle Tree out to Bushland High School to vote. Well, this way, I'm in town half the time anyway. So it just makes a lot more sense that I can go someplace else easier to vote. So I was fully supportive of it. I did write a letter to the Secretary of State supporting this for the committee. I'm fully 100% in favor of it. Take it on permanent.
Good.
Thank you,
That's
sir.
what we're trying for. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Is there one more? All right. Force me to have to say something.
Frida Powell, 2010 Estes Street, here in Amarillo, Texas. I just want to say thank you to Malin and also the committee for the great job that they did in selecting the voting centers, and we had a lot of input in doing that. But for me, I spent a lot of time in East Amarillo quite a bit, and I also work in Texas probably about 99% of the time. So having the opportunity to come in from Highway 60 to Lakeside, then right onto I-40 and stop at Missoula and vote and get an opportunity to look at furniture was perfect. So it gives you a different perspective and an opportunity to network and see other people in the area. So I mean, I love the voting centers, and I love it because I'm not tied to a precinct to vote. So really, just really appreciate everything that Malin has done, and I know for a long time, Julie Smith, the county clerk, has had that under her umbrella for quite some time, so I know that it's a win-win situation all around.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I know that Julie is very, very happy that you're here, Malin. And I can say from a standpoint of someone who's been working here as long as I have, I'm happy you're here too. You did an excellent job on this. Very, very well done. Thank you. Anybody else?
I would ask, since we have IT representation here, from the infrastructure behind the scenes, are there any challenges that we need to be mindful of as a court moving forward? I feel like it was kind of a non-issue because we would have heard about it, but I don't want to assume that and maybe just open that dialogue.
Yeah, we actually used those Verizon jetpacks and they worked great. I think we had, Malin, maybe a problem with like one of them and we rebooted it and it came back online and it was, everything ran smoothly, so it was awesome.
Good. Lynn, do you have anything you want to add to anything today?
No, I believe this really is what we were supposed to do in order to be able to apply for this, and so, I would like to go ahead and submit a letter to the Secretary of State along with proof of all the steps that we have done, and ask for this to be the permanent way in Potter County for voting. And with that said, if we ever had an election where precinct voting was more appropriate, and I can't think of an example right now, but I suppose that there could be one that would be, then we still would have that flexibility to use precinct voting. But in general, we would just be considered permanent and would become a permanent vote center county.
Do you need the court to sign that letter?
I probably will, and it's not drafted yet, but I will draft it.
Yes, Belinda, how long will it take for your office to get each precinct chair their list of people who have voted, so the precinct conventions can be held?
It's my understanding the precinct conventions will be held the day after the primary, and so we will have those lists available the next day. So they will make the deadline and not inconvenience any of the parties.
Okay, so we will adjourn for now and wait for your letter, and we'll send that off like we're supposed to do. We've done what we're supposed to do, right, Dave? We've done everything we're supposed to do.
I think so.
Okay, is there any other comment at all? Okay, if not, we are adjourned. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Glenn. Appreciate it.